For the past 48 hours, the internet has been completely torn apart by footage of San Francisco 49ers defensive lineman Keion White, a professional athlete in his prime, a man with millions of dollars on the line, getting shot in the ankle at a strip club after-party following Super Bowl 60.
But first, a stunning announcement from the 49ers. One of their players shot early this morning in San Francisco. The team says defensive end Keion White was shot in the ankle.
And the name that keeps coming up at the center of all of it? Grammy-winning Atlanta rapper Lil Baby, a man whose history with violence, gang affiliations, and run-ins with the law stretches back to when he was 12 years old.
Oh, you went to jail at 12?
Yeah.
So that was juvie at that point?
Exactly.
Okay, what'd you get locked up for?
I think burglary.
An uninvited entourage, a private VIP section, 2 shell casings from 2 different guns, and an NFL player who's now refusing to cooperate with police. Something about this whole situation is not adding up, and we're about to break all of it down. All right, before we get into anything else, you need to see what the entire internet is losing its mind over right now. Brand new footage has surfaced that puts the spotlight squarely on one of the most talked about incidents to come out of Super Bowl 60 weekend. And let me tell you, it is absolutely wild. We are talking about an NFL player, a man whose literal job description is to be one of the most physically imposing athletes on the planet, getting shot in the ankle inside of a nightclub, and the name being attached to this whole situation is none other than Grammy-winning Atlanta rapper Lil Baby. The clips making the rounds are chaotic, the reactions are even more chaotic, and the details? They just keep getting worse. If you haven't been following this story, buckle in, because what happened in the early morning hours after the biggest game in football is the kind of thing that could alter careers, destroy reputations, and land somebody behind bars for a very, very long time. Now let me set the scene for you, because the context here is absolutely critical to understanding how this whole thing spiraled so far out of control. It is the night of February 8th, 2026. Super Bowl 60 has just wrapped up in Santa Clara, and San Francisco is absolutely electric. Every nightclub, every lounge, every rooftop bar in the city is packed wall to wall with celebrities, athletes, influencers, and people with more money than sense. The after-parties are legendary, and one of those after-parties was being hosted by none other than San Francisco 49ers defensive lineman Keion White. According to multiple reports from the San Francisco Standard, White had booked out the basement VIP section of Dahlia, a popular bar and nightclub situated at 1799 Mission Street in the Mission District of San Francisco, for a private, exclusive gathering. And when I say exclusive, I mean this was reportedly a full-blown stripper party. Dollar bills covering the floor, bottles everywhere, the whole 9 yards. This was supposed to be a celebration, a way to blow off steam after a long NFL season. Now here is where things take a sharp and sudden turn into absolute chaos. Lil Baby, real name Dominique Armani Jones, had been in San Francisco that same night. He had performed at the Grand Nightclub as part of the Super Bowl weekend festivities, doing what artists do during the biggest sports weekend on the calendar. But at some point after his performance, Lil Baby and his entourage made their way over to Dahlia, and according to eyewitness accounts detailed in the police report reviewed by NBC Sports, they attempted to gain access to Keion White's private VIP section, uninvited. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when the fuse was lit.
But first, a stunning announcement from the 49ers. One of their players shot early this morning in San Francisco. The team says defensive end Keion White was shot in the ankle.
According to the San Francisco Police Department's official report, what started as a verbal altercation between the two groups rapidly escalated beyond the point of no return. A witness who was present at the scene told investigators that they physically went upstairs to find club management, desperately trying to get someone with authority to come down and de-escalate the situation before it could get any worse. But it was already too late. While that witness was upstairs, 2 gunshots rang out through the basement of the nightclub. When the witness rushed back downstairs, they found Keion White on the ground with a gunshot wound to his left ankle. And the entire scene had dissolved into what one account described as utter pandemonium. People screaming, scrambling for the exits. Total and complete chaos.
according to police, officers responded to reports of a shooting following an argument that started inside of a business. No arrests have been made. A suspect has not been identified.
Now here is where the investigation gets really interesting, and frankly, really complicated. When SFPD officers arrived at the scene, they recovered two different shell casings, a 9mm and a .45 caliber, which tells investigators that at minimum, two separate firearms were discharged during the incident. They also recovered surveillance camera footage from the club's security system, and perhaps most intriguingly, an abandoned cell phone that police believe may belong to someone in Lil Baby's entourage. That abandoned phone could prove to be absolutely critical to cracking this case wide open. But here is where the story takes yet another frustrating twist. According to reports from the Press Democrat, Keion White himself has been described as uncooperative with investigators. Think about that for a moment. The man was shot in the ankle at a nightclub, underwent surgery, and is now reportedly not helping the police figure out who pulled the trigger. Now, I am not going to speculate on why that might be, but in the world of professional athletics, that kind of silence speaks volumes, and it has absolutely made the investigation significantly more difficult.
Yeah, guys, let's get to the details of what we do know, because it is little. I heard from the team about 30 minutes ago. They did tell me 27-year-old defensive end Keion White is out of surgery and that it was successful.
And let me be absolutely clear about something, because the internet has a tendency to run with headlines before the facts are actually established. As of right now, February 11th, 2026, Lil Baby has not been arrested. He has not been charged. Police have not identified him as the shooter. The reports clearly state that the shooting was carried out by an unknown suspect, and that while Lil Baby is connected to the verbal argument that preceded the shooting, there is no official confirmation that he personally pulled the trigger. Some speculation from social media commentators and reaction channels suggests the shooter may have been an affiliate from Lil Baby's crew, but that remains unconfirmed by law enforcement.
Certainly that was a robbery, but we still don't know a lot of details of what led up to this shooting with Keion White.
Exactly, yeah. Police have not said what exactly led up to Keion White getting shot in the ankle.
Now here's the part that makes this story absolutely massive, and why it has been trending across every single social media platform known to mankind. New footage, clips, and breakdowns have been pouring out from every corner of the internet. Instagram Reels, TikTok breakdowns, YouTube reaction videos. Everybody with a camera and an opinion has been dissecting this story frame by frame. Viral posts on X from accounts like @StadiumLiveApp detailed the argument and its aftermath, while reaction channels like JDaBlack have been alleging that the whole thing started because Lil Baby's camp felt disrespected after being denied entry into a party they weren't invited to in the first place. The hashtags #49ers, #LilBaby, and #Super Bowl have been trending simultaneously, and the takes are flying in from every direction.
San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie responding to the shooting, saying any violent incident in our city is unacceptable, and I'm hoping Keion recovers quickly. I've spoken with SFPD and 49ers leadership.
And it is not just random fans weighing in on this. Sports journalists, hip-hop commentators, and even current NFL players have been adding their voices to the conversation. The level of engagement on this story is staggering. We are talking about millions upon millions of combined views across every major platform in the span of just 48 hours. Every reaction channel worth its salt has already posted a breakdown. Every sports podcast has dedicated at least one segment to unpacking what happened. The collision between the NFL world and the hip-hop world in this specific context has created a media firestorm the likes of which we rarely see outside of the Super Bowl game itself. San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie took to social media to condemn the violence, writing that any violent incident in the city is unacceptable and expressing his hope for Keion White's swift recovery. He confirmed that he had spoken with both SFPD and 49ers leadership and praised the officers for their rapid response. And this, by the way, marks the second time in just 18 months that a 49ers player has been the victim of gun violence in San Francisco. Wide receiver Ricky Pearsall was shot in the chest during an armed robbery in Union Square back in August 2024. That is a deeply troubling pattern that the franchise and the city need to address. Now that we have laid out exactly what happened on that chaotic night, let us take a serious and thorough look at the man at the center of this entire situation. Because before Keion White was a shooting victim making headlines for all the wrong reasons, he was building one of the most compelling underdog stories in the entire NFL. And honestly, the more you learn about this guy's journey to professional football, the more heartbreaking this whole situation becomes. Keion White was born on January 20th, 1999 in Garner, North Carolina, a quiet town just south of Raleigh. He attended Garner Magnet High School, where he was a 3-star recruit and a 2-way starter at tight end and defensive end. Now pause on that for a second. Tight end and defensive end. From the very beginning, this was a kid who could do it all on the football field. On offense, he recorded 20 receptions for 243 yards and 4 touchdowns as a senior. On defense, he was an absolute menace. But despite that versatility, the recruiting world wasn't exactly beating down his door. He received just 5 scholarship offers, and that is how he ended up at Old Dominion University.
Well, that does explain a lot, like why Keion White, now projected to be the first Yellow Jacket taken in the first round of the NFL draft since 2010, originally went to Old Dominion.
At Old Dominion, White initially played tight end, catching passes, running routes, doing everything you would expect from a skill position player on offense. But here is where his story takes one of those beautiful, unexpected turns that make you believe in the magic of football. During spring practice, before his sophomore season, the coaching staff decided to try something radical. They moved him to defensive end, a position he had played in high school but hadn't focused on in college. And the result was nothing short of extraordinary. In his first full season on the defensive side of the ball, White earned second-team All-Conference USA honors, leading the team with 3.5 sacks, an astonishing 19 tackles for loss, which tied for 10th in all of FBS, along with 62 total tackles, an interception, a forced fumble, and 2 fumble recoveries. The kid, who couldn't even get a Power 5 offer, had to become one of the most disruptive defensive players in his entire conference.
We're going to try you out at defensive end for spring ball, and if you suck, it is what it is, you just go back. But I ended up being really good at it.
Then COVID hit and wiped out the 2020 season, and White entered the transfer portal, eventually landing at Georgia Tech. And this is where his story really accelerated. At Georgia Tech, he appeared in 24 games over 2 seasons. And in his final year in 2022, he absolutely dominated, leading the Yellow Jackets with 7.5 sacks, along with 54 tackles and 3 tackles for loss. His performance at the Senior Bowl and the NFL Combine, where he ran a 4.76-second 40-yard dash at 290 pounds, posted a 34-inch vertical jump and a 117-inch broad jump, turned heads across the entire league. But what truly set White apart from every other defensive lineman in the draft class was what was happening off the field. This was not a guy who fit the mold of the stereotypical football player who eats, sleeps, and breathes nothing but the sport. No, Keion White was out here working in real estate, doing project management, refinishing furniture he bought off Facebook Marketplace for $50, and talking about how the Georgia Tech education set him up for life beyond football. He talked about hiking, going to art shows at the High Museum in Atlanta, and his passion for buying and renovating property.
Definitely the dumb football trope is definitely a thing of the past. And we do other things. Like we have lives, we are normal people, and that's a big thing for me.
He was selected by the New England Patriots in the second round, 46th overall, in the 2023 NFL Draft, signing a 4-year, $7.79 million rookie contract. His rookie season in New England saw him appear in 16 games with 4 starts, recording 26 tackles, 1 sack, and 3 passes defended, while playing 49% of defensive snaps. Not earth-shattering numbers, but solid production for a rotational rookie finding his footing at the highest level of professional football. Then came the 2024 season, and Keion White absolutely erupted. He played in all 17 games with 13 starts, leading the team with 5.0 sacks and generating 51 total pressures. The highlight reel from that year is unbelievable. In Week 1 alone, he posted 2.5 sacks against Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals in a massive upset victory. He finished the year with 56 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 16 quarterback hits, 5 passes defended, and 2 forced fumbles. This was a man who was announcing himself as a legitimate force in the NFL.
They said they were impressed with you in the game last year. Can you remember what it was you did in that game that made an impression on them?
Probably rushing from the inside, for real. That's kind of what I feel like I do best. And so I did that last year, and I guess that's what they were impressed for. I really don't know, though.
In October 2025, White was traded to the San Francisco 49ers, along with a conditional 7th-round pick in exchange for a 6th-round pick. It was supposed to be a fresh start. When he arrived in San Francisco, he talked about treating it like showing up to a new job in corporate America. Head down, learn the system, earn a role. He appeared in 9 games with the 49ers, adding 12 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and 6 quarterback hits. He even contributed in the playoffs before the team's postseason run came to an end.
Is it new season, new scenery, new season, or is it just a continuation of now that you're here with the Niners?
Oh, definitely not a continuation, just a new me and kind of showing what I can do for real, just trying to become a part of the team.
And here is what makes the shooting so devastating from a football perspective. White is entering the final year of his rookie contract in 2026 with a team option for 2027. This offseason was supposed to be the time where he solidified his role, where he proved to the 49ers that he was worth a long-term investment. Instead, he is lying in a hospital bed recovering from ankle surgery after being shot at a nightclub. The 49ers confirmed his surgery was successful, and White himself posted from the hospital that he is in great spirits and focused on recovery. But the whispers have already started. Speculation from commentators like DJ Academics has suggested the 49ers could potentially waive him due to the off-field nature of the incident and his depth chart position as a rotational third stringer. Let us not forget the broader context of Keion White's playing style and mentality. This is a man who, during Patriots training camp in July 2025, openly stated that leading with violence is always my type of style when talking about the new defensive scheme. And obviously, that was a reference to controlled strategic aggression within the context of professional football. He had been involved in heated scuffles during joint practices with the Packers, where he was seen throwing a player's helmet into the air. He had mauled opponents on the field after being cut blocked. Everything about his career has been defined by channeled aggression and physical dominance within the rules of the game. The idea that this same man is now a victim of gun violence, that the aggression came at him from outside the lines, is a cruel and painful irony that is not lost on anyone following this story. The man who grew up watching HGTV and renovating furniture, who talked about defying the dumb football trope, who took pride in his real estate ventures and his Georgia Tech education, that man is now at the center of a story involving gunfire, a strip club, and a rapper's entourage. And no matter how this investigation shakes out, that association is going to stick to his name for a long time to come. Now let us shift our attention to the other name dominating every headline attached to this story: Lil Baby. Because while the internet is quick to either defend him or condemn him depending on which side of the aisle you sit on, the reality is that this incident did not happen in a vacuum. There is a long and complicated history that has followed Dominique Armani Jones through every chapter of his life. And understanding that history is absolutely essential to understanding why this story has exploded the way it has. Lil Baby was born on December 3, 1994 in Atlanta, Georgia, and grew up in the Oakland City neighborhood of the city's southwest side, one of the most notoriously rough areas in all of Atlanta. His father left when he was young, and he was raised by his mother and his 2 sisters in conditions that he has described as deeply impoverished. In an unreleased interview that has surfaced online, Baby spoke with raw honesty about what that childhood looked like.
What do you think was the hardest thing, being a kid, seeing your mom kind of struggle?
We used to be getting put out, all that old type of, come home from school, big day, all that old type of.
That instability pushed him into the streets at a shockingly young age. By the time he was 12 years old, Jones had his first arrest. He and a group of friends attempted to break into a house in their Atlanta neighborhood and were detained by police. He spent about 10 days in juvenile detention, and in his own words, that experience changed the trajectory of everything that came after.
I went in jail first time 12.
Oh, you went to jail at 12?
Yeah,
So that was juvie at that point.
exactly.
Okay. What'd you get locked up for?
I think burglary.
From there, the trouble only escalated. He dropped out of Booker T. Washington High School after his freshman year, not because of academics, as he was quick to point out, but because the constant fighting and the pull of the streets proved to be stronger than anything a classroom could offer. Throughout his teenage years, Jones faced multiple arrests for theft, drug possession, and possession with intent to sell. By the time he was 19, the accumulated weight of all those cases finally caught up with him, and he was sentenced to 2 years in a Georgia state prison for violating probation related to prior drug charges.
And then that led up to you ultimately getting 2 years in prison.
Exactly.
Okay. And you were how old at the time?
See, at the time, I probably caught the cases like about 16, 17.
He was released on July 1st, 2016, and the rest, as they say, is hip-hop history. Encouraged by Young Thug and Quality Control Music co-founder Coach K, Baby dove headfirst into rap, dropping his debut mixtape Perfect Timing in 2017 and rocketing to superstardom with albums like Harder Than Ever, My Turn, and It's Only Me. He became one of the biggest artists in the world, performing sold-out tours, winning a Grammy, and building a brand that transcended music. And yet, even during his meteoric rise, the demons of his past continued to linger in ways that most people never saw. In that same unreleased interview, Baby talked about his crippling addiction to lean, codeine-laced cough syrup that had consumed his life since he was 12 or 13 years old. He admitted to spending upward of $20,000 a month feeding that habit, and the cycle of addiction, street money, and criminal activity all fed into one another in ways that were nearly impossible to break free from.
Oh,
That's what's up. I wish I did more interviews like this.
But here is the thing that people need to understand. The past never truly let go of Lil Baby. Despite the fame, the money, and the success, the street life continued to cast a long, dark shadow over everything he built. Let me walk you through just a fraction of what has followed him since he became famous. In July 2021, Lil Baby and NBA star James Harden were detained by French police in Paris for allegedly transporting marijuana. In August 2024, he was arrested at the Encore Hotel Casino in Las Vegas for carrying a concealed firearm without a permit, charges that were ultimately dropped after his legal team argued he held a valid Georgia permit. But perhaps the most disturbing chapter involves the deadly feud between his Four Pockets full crew, known as 4PF, and a rival group called Only My Family. In May 2024, a triple shooting occurred while Baby was filming a music video in Northwest Atlanta. 2 months later, a retaliatory drive-by killed two 13-year-old boys at a birthday party. Atlanta police subsequently arrested 7 individuals and publicly blamed Lil Baby for instigating the violence by filming in rival territory, calling him a cowardly rapper, though Baby and his attorneys denied any involvement.
I'm seeing the buzz growing out there. The songs are doing numbers. Congrats on what you're doing.
appreciate you. I appreciate everything. Most definitely appreciate you for having me.
That is the backdrop against which this Keion White shooting has to be understood. This is not just a random nightclub argument that got out of hand. It is the latest chapter in a pattern that has followed Lil Baby throughout his entire career. And the potential consequences if the investigation eventually links him or his associates more directly to the shooting could be absolutely staggering. The weight of what could come crashing down on Lil Baby and everyone around him cannot be overstated. We are talking about the kind of legal exposure that has ended careers, bankrupted empires, and put people behind bars for decades. And it is worth noting something that often gets lost in the noise of social media speculation and hot takes. In December 2024, Lil Baby officially dissolved 4PF as a record label, rebranding his operation as Glass Window Entertainment. That move came in the wake of the young thug YSL Rico trial and growing speculation that federal authorities might be looking to build a similar racketeering case against Baby and his associates. Whether that rebranding was a genuine business pivot or a strategic move to distance himself from the legal heat surrounding 4PF is a question that only time will answer. But the timing of it all, dissolving the label just months before this shooting incident, paints a picture of a man who knew the walls were closing in. Under California law, if a shooter is identified and connected to Lil Baby's camp, the charges could range from assault with a deadly weapon under Penal Code 245, which carries 3 to 9 years in prison, all the way up to attempted murder under Penal Code 664/187, which could mean life behind bars if premeditation is established. Firearm enhancements under Penal Code 12022.53 could tack on an additional 10 to 20 years. And that is before we even begin to talk about the civil liability. Keion White could absolutely sue for damages covering medical bills, lost wages, pain, and suffering, and that lawsuit could run into the millions. Right now, the social media reaction has been absolutely explosive on both sides. NFL fans are furious with comments like, "Lil Baby owes us a Sixers pick now," and "prosecute at Lil Baby," flooding every comment section. Bears safety CJ Gardner-Johnson even posted, and then quickly deleted, a message criticizing rappers, which only added more fuel to an already raging fire. Meanwhile, hip-hop fans are urging people to wait for all the facts before passing judgment, pointing out that Lil Baby is connected to the argument, but not to the actual pulling of the trigger.
So hopefully you want to get shot in the front. Well, you don't want to get shot, but if you get shot, you want to get shot in the front or potentially in the side. That would be your preference.
And that right there is the real takeaway from this entire story. Two worlds collided on that chaotic night in San Francisco, the world of professional athletics and the world of hip-hop nightlife culture. And when egos, alcohol, money, and entourages mixed together in the basement of a nightclub at 4 in the morning, things went horribly, irreversibly wrong. One bad night can cost a career. One bad night can cost millions of dollars. One bad night can cost somebody their freedom, or even their life. The SFPD investigation is ongoing. No arrests have been made. The surveillance footage from Dahlia is being reviewed. The abandoned cell phone is being analyzed. And the entire sports and entertainment world is watching and waiting to see what happens next. Keion White is recovering from surgery, saying he is in great spirits and focused on his comeback. Lil Baby has not publicly commented, and the internet has already tried, convicted, and sentenced everybody involved about 47 different times over. But we are going to do something different here. We are going to let the facts speak for themselves, and we are going to keep following this story as it develops. Because right now, this is still a developing situation, and the full truth, whatever that truth turns out to be, has not yet been revealed. What we do know is this: an NFL player was shot, a rapper's name is attached to it, and the fallout from what happened in that nightclub basement in the early morning hours after Super Bowl 60 is going to reverberate through both industries for a very, very long time. If you found this breakdown informative, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and make sure you hit that bell so you don't miss any updates as this story continues to unfold. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Lil Baby's camp was responsible? Do you think Keion White will bounce back? And what does this say about the culture surrounding these massive Super Bowl weekend events? I want to hear from all of you. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and I will see you in the next one.